Hey everyone, this is Chris and Sandy Bent with the Chris and Sandy Show. We get up close and personal with some amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today, like I say on every episode, we got a great one for you. Who do we have?
Yes, we have Liz Longley with us today. She is best known for her Stop You in Your Tracks voice. She is an accomplished singer-songwriter based out of Nashville, Tennessee. With her deeply emotional music, she has earned accolades from some of the most prestigious songwriting competitions in the country, including the BMI John Lennon Songwriting Scholarship Connect competition.
And we're excited to have her on.
Yes.
So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Good to be here.
So I always like to start out the same, like I've been through, where everybody's going through this crazy time with COVID.
Oh, yes.
How did COVID affect you over the last 12, 15, 16 months? And what have you done to maneuver through that crazy maze?
Yeah, well, I'm a touring singer-songwriter. I make my living on the road, so that quickly shifted things. I was in the middle of tour when we started realizing this wasn't safe to keep playing shows. My next show was going to be in New York City, and I'm so glad we didn't go. And so basically I just had to make it up as I went. I had been doing online shows in the past for a couple years. So it was something that I was familiar with, but then it became my whole life. And then I had a record that was going to come out in fall of 2020, and it had been a long time coming. So I went through with releasing it, but instead released it from my house instead of on the road. So, kept busy, launched a Patreon to stay in touch with my closest fans, and also wrote and recorded a Christmas record to stay sane.
Oh, wow.
So I tried to keep busy.
And like I was telling you before the show, we launched January 2020, so a couple months before COVID. And our plan was 100 interviews first year. We thought
that would be a lot.
And we thought that'd be a great foundation. And then COVID happens.
Yeah.
And I remember telling Sandy, I was like, this just might be our year to shine. Yeah. So because of that,
let's run with it.
We ran as hard as we could last year. And because of that, we did over 300 interviews, and now we're over 400.
Wow, I'm so blown away by that. Good for you for staying focused. I think that was the key to staying mildly sane in 2020 was having something to put your energy into. So
Absolutely.
The one good thing I think, and some people would say it's bad, some people say it's good, but that's on people's perspective. But where we live in Georgia, we were only shut down really for about 2 months. I mean, we had to still wear masks and all that.
Oh, of course.
But for the shutdowns, we were limited. So, by August, we were back full-time church, everything.
Wow.
And we go to a 9,000 people church. So it's not like now what they did do was I did like this is they blocked off every other row. So people couldn't sit in there. I think they just a couple weeks ago undid that part where now we're full back.
Wow.
But
it feels good to be back. I just did my first real tour in Colorado and New Mexico, really getting out there and seeing the world again. I just miss that stimulation of getting to see a new place and meet new people and eat new food. I'm tired of making my own food, so it was nice just to be on the road and see the mountains, and it kind of puts everything in perspective when you got views like that.
Yeah. So, a lot of people would ask, when did you know you want to do music? But I always say to go deeper than that. When did it actually click that this could be a career choice for you?
Man, well, it's weird. It's weird to admit, but I was 14 when I knew it was what I wanted to do, which is just so strange. Looking back at it, I'm 33 now, but I was 14 years old when I started writing music, and I had an amazingly supportive teacher in high school who just kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone. I was a really shy kid and was like, just get out there and play your song. It was the first song I'd ever written.
Wow.
And I just remember that moment so vividly because I was just shaking. It was absolutely nerve-wracking. And then I got a standing ovation, and it was like, whoa, this felt like, wow, okay, that was well received. And I just felt more alive than ever. And I'm so lucky that I had my parents' support like from absolute day one. My parents are music lovers. My dad's a musician. My mom always wanted to be a singer. So I had a lot of support from home.
So they could live vicariously through you.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, I was 14 years old, as wild as that is to say.
Wow. And that's great that you had parents like that because, you know, in this day and time, it's so expensive to build a music career.
Oh, yeah.
And when you don't have the backing as a teenager of a parent, and I'm not, and again, don't want nobody to think that you can't do it without that backing, but it makes it so much harder without that backing.
Yeah, because it's already hard enough to like feel empowered to go put yourself out there and be so vulnerable, writing music and sharing your, you know, innermost thoughts and feelings every night. So if you were to add that resistance of your family's support, if they weren't there every step of the way, that would just make it so much more difficult. So I'm really, really lucky that I had that. And then they let me go to school for songwriting. I was literally a songwriting major. So I always say that's proof of how much they support me. So I'm really lucky.
I love that.
Amazing.
So what are some hobbies you like to do outside of music?
That's a good question. I was thinking that the other day. I was like, what do I like besides? I like food. I love coffee. I have the greatest dog in the whole world. Oh, she's about to lick herself. Sorry, I'll cover her up. I just got married 2 months ago. I have an amazing partner who's also in the music industry. So music is like our whole life.
Wow.
But besides that, reality TV and food.
What's funny is that, you know, I never participate on, but you see on Facebook the things that say, what is your guilty pleasure? Ours would be reality TV.
Reality TV for sure.
What, like which shows do you watch?
We like almost the craziest ones, the
MTV
ones.
We love Catfish.
Catfish, one of my favorite. And
some of the Teen Mom ones.
Okay. So you're like TLC, MTV. Got it.
You know, one of the craziest ones, and it's almost like our story in a way, is Married at First Sight.
Oh yes, we love that one too.
And I'm actually
that's like your story.
Well, kind of. Well, see, we met February 2nd of 2002 online. She was in Kentucky and I was in Georgia. We met online on February 2nd. We talked on the phone for the first time February 4th.
Yes.
And then February 18th, we set a wedding date. And March 4th, we met in person. So we were meeting in person to see who we were going to marry. Yeah. And the date we married was October 5th of that year. So we went from the point of meeting to marrying in 8 months.
Yes.
Whoa. And well, you're still together. So that's a testament to the fact that it worked.
Years later.
And you know, and we only spent maybe
20
less than 20 days face to face because you couldn't just pop up and go.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that is crazy.
We just knew.
Wow.
It was one of those things.
You guys needed your own reality show. You didn't even know it.
But you know, so I guess that's why we like that show a little bit because in a way, even though now I'll be honest, if that first week after we talked a few times, if there was a way for us to marry, then I would have.
Oh yeah, that's so sweet. Well, good for you.
We would have jumped.
You know, her parents would have killed her on that one, but we'd have jumped.
Yeah.
So what's the craziest thing you've done?
Oh wow.
Speaking of that,
you know,
or one of the crazy. Let's just say one of the craziest.
I'm embarrassed to say that I don't have a real wild side. I grew up with two parents who are insurance agents.
Oh, wow.
So even putting our hand out the window was a risk that we shouldn't take. I'm going to put it that way. Craziest thing I ever did. I'll have to think on that one. I really don't know. I dated some crazy people. Does that count?
That count. That counts.
Wrote songs about it.
There you go.
Yeah, you know, when you hear stories of people, you know, because I was her first boyfriend and everything.
Yeah, he was.
So she never got to experience the heartache, heartbreak.
Lucky you.
Thank you.
And I, on the other hand, was just—it's funny.
He's the opposite.
I'm the opposite. You know, because I went through 19 years of addictions and all that, and it was just horrible. But yeah, again,
it balances out here.
Only God could have brought us two together. I mean, just
Wow.
that's just the way it is.
Wow.
So,
cool.
what is something quirky about you?
Let's see. Quirky about me. I'm sure my husband could give you an entire list. I have some weird things. Well, I felt like the world was going to end in 2020, so I did some end of the world type things. We built. Well, I don't know if you know, but in Nashville on March 3rd, we had a really bad tornado come through our part of town.
And then a week later was the COVID.
Yeah.
So it was like traumatic thing after traumatic thing. And I really was just like so scared of tornadoes more than anything. So when we got home after our tour that was cut off by COVID, I was like, we need a storm shelter. And so we built a storm shelter under our house. And then I may or may not have filled it with buckets of freeze-dried food, maybe 150 pounds of freeze-dried food. So that's my quirky thing.
And one day when you actually have to use that, you're going to be like, see, I told you.
We're the place to be. We're the place to be.
All your friends are going to run to you, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, nobody knows. Well, I guess now they do.
So as you know, a lot of people, they see the glory of like a Blake Shelton, of a Miranda, of a Carey, but they don't see the grind, the sacrifice, the tears, the struggles that it takes, not just to get to their level, but even a career level within music. And I always want to talk about that because I think it's one of the most overlooked things in entertainment.
It gets glossed over.
You know, people dive in not knowing that, you know, they think, oh, I got this talent. Everybody says I'm great. But Nashville's filled with talented people that never make it nowhere. We all know that. So it takes a lot more than talent. So let's talk about that side. What are some of the sacrifices and struggles you've had to make through the years, even to get to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, so music has been my only job. I've been really lucky, except for babysitting when I was a teenager. It's been my only job. And it is a full-time, you know, it's not something that you ever put down. It's something that it's always going. There's always something more you could be doing. You're just constantly chasing this thing. And it's really not glamorous in any way. What people don't realize, I think, is, at least for me, I tour a lot solo. So I spend most of my day driving. I'm like a glorified truck driver. And so, you know, like I just got back from this tour where there were days where I'd spend 5 hours, 6 hours in the car. And then, you know, all by myself, load in, sound check, set up, play the show, tear it all down myself, sell the merch myself, say hello to the people myself, and pack up and do it all again the next day. So I think you have to be, at least as a solo independent artist, you have to be fiercely independent. You need to be able to carry all that weight on your shoulders and just be able to push through in those hard times and remember why you do it. The reason that I keep doing it is for the people. That's what really motivates me. But not a lot of time, minus 2020, not a lot of time spent at home. So it's something I have to be really deliberate about is maintaining my relationships. So lots of phone calls and staying in touch with people and being really intentional about that. But it really has been the most amazing thing to be able to do music as my full-time job. So as hard as it is,
it's fun too.
It's so much worth it. Yeah.
And we get exactly where you're coming from because, you know, this show is our passion. And when we launched, I'll be honest, you know, she's always been the music lover, big time.
Oh, yes, big time.
A lot of time launched this mainly because I wanted to do something with that guided her into her passion. And I didn't realize that I was going to find something I was going to be really passionate about that we could do together here.
Yeah.
And so, but again, to be the Bobby Bones, to be the Ty Bentley, to be the Kelly Clarkson show, oh man, there's so much work here.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
you know, people see the 30 to 60 minutes that we have fun on these, and they don't see the behind the scenes, the 100, 200 email rejections I get a month. Because I don't just reach out to independent. I reach out to your Blake Sheltons, you know, your Brad Pitts. I reach out to everybody. And we go through a lot of rejection, and that's one of the hardest things. It's like, you know, and all of a sudden we get a bone where, like, we recently got Scotty McCreery on, you know, and then you go through a bunch of no's, and then you get another one, then bunch of no's, but you know, and it's so tough, and the show don't make money yet, so it's like trying to do all this
side jobs.
So So we understand where y'all are coming from when y'all are in that hunt.
Yeah, for sure. There's, like you're saying, there's just so much more that goes on behind the scenes than you could ever imagine, And for a musician, we get those, 90 minutes on stage a night, but that's the easy part, that's the easy part.
This part's my easy part.
Yeah, exactly.
Now some people would say that would be their hard part, but I love to talk. So, but it's one of them things where, like, we had, I learned something recently. We had the River Band, Little River Band on recently, and they were telling us a story that a lot of people don't get, and I didn't know this. He said that when you're a touring artist, and I guess you would know this, says many times your friends think you can get these tickets for them, and you can't. You don't have no control over that.
You get like front row,
and they're like, we don't handle it. We are paid to come do a job. We get maybe 10 tickets to some shows.
Right.
He says, me as the front man, I can't take those tickets. My band,
right.
If there's any left over, I'll take. But he said many times his wife has to pay to come to the show.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's one of them things where, like, I didn't know that. That was one of them things wow. But again, that's one of them things that are misconception with artists. What's another misconception you might have that people think?
Well, I think the thing that I always think is that people are surprised when they see me, like, driving off in my minivan and that I'm doing it all myself. I'm like, yeah, it's just me, that's all. Yeah. So, I think that people just think there's a lot of people, and for some people there is a huge team involved.
Yeah.
And I used to be with a record label, and I used to have a manager and all those things, but right now it's a very, very small team. It's a homegrown business.
Now that we talked a little bit about the sacrifice side, let's flip the script and go the other way. What are a few moments where you're like, wow, I got to do that, or wow, that happened? And let's start with the Kickstarter campaign. Tell us about that.
Yes.
Yes, this was a life-changing moment in 2019. So I made this new record. It's called Funeral from My Past. It was my 7th full-length record.
Oh, wow.
I think, or 6. I don't know. There's so many. I have so many releases I can't keep track. But anyway, it was my favorite record I've made to date, and I was so proud of it. And I was able to make it here in Nashville with an amazing producer named Paul Moak. Just an incredible experience. And when I handed it into my label, it was clear that I was going to have to buy the record back from my label in order to release it. Wow. So that was a daunting task, and especially with the price tag that was on it. The money had already been spent. The record had already been made, so I didn't have any control over how much was spent. Yeah. So they gave me the price tag, and I realized I was going to have to launch a Kickstarter. So I did that reluctantly, but 1,302 incredible supporters came through for me and helped me raise over $150,000 in 30 days. So I quickly became the 4th most funded solo female musician in Kickstarter history. And I was able to buy the record back from the label. I was also able to make 2 more records because of that Kickstarter campaign.
And Kickstarter is scary because you start the Kickstarter and you got this 30-day window and you set the limit. And if you don't hit that, you get nothing.
Yeah.
So, it's one of them double-edged, because there's still ways to make some things work even if you don't get the whole amount, but that's not the way it works.
Exactly. Well, I was so lucky because it was funded in the first day. My goal was reached in the first day.
Oh, wow.
So pretty incredible to have that kind of support. I have an incredible fan base. They might be small, but they are mighty. And they started calling themselves Lizards last year. So the Liz Longley Lizards.
I love that. Oh, that's awesome.
So because of that Kickstarter, I released Funeral from My Past last year and got so many great reviews, great press. It was so heartwarming. And then I made a Christmas album because of that Kickstarter that came out last year as well. And I also recorded an acoustic EP of the Funeral from My Past songs that comes out this year. So lots of music was made because of that campaign.
I love that. I love to hear stories like that because in this day and time, sometimes people want to get all in the negative news out there, and they forget there are good things that are happening too.
Absolutely, there are so many good people out there, and that was just my greatest proof of that. I was so honored that so many people were willing to support me, and just wow.
Now, as you know, a lot of people, they see you as the artist. They don't see any teams at all. And I know that you say you're yourself, but it's got to be some people that you consider a team with you.
Yes.
So tell us about that, because we think teams never get the love. And I don't care if you got a team of 1 or a team of 300 like Justin Bieber
The team
has.
matters.
Team matters.
Yes.
And without the
so
team,
matters.
and we think that they deserve love. So talk a few moments about the team that helps you be who you are.
Oh, thank you for asking that. That's so sweet. Okay, so the teammate who I've had the longest is my booking agent. He helps make all my shows happen.
He's the important one.
Yeah, he's real important.
But that one really.
We've been working together since 2012 or 13. He was an assistant to an agent, and now he's a full-time agent, and I was his first artist that he took on, and we've been working together ever since. So I'm super lucky to have that as my number one teammate. And my dearest, my husband, is just a huge part of what I do. We fell in love because we were making a music video together. He's in the music industry and manages bands and just does all the creative things. So I'm lucky that I get to work with him and bounce ideas off of him every single day. So I'm really lucky. That's Patrick. And with Funeral for My Past, because of the Kickstarter, I was able to hire on a team that I never would have otherwise been able to. So I had a publicist for the first time in my life, Lucky Bird Media, Jake at Lucky Bird Media, and they helped get the record out when I was sitting at home all year. So thank you. Yeah. And Tone Tree Music, they helped get my music on all the digital platforming and into playlists and stuff. So I'm so grateful for Sean and Ellie there. And like I said, Paul Moak was my producer for my last now 3 albums. And I couldn't imagine anyone else I'd like to bring music into the world with. So I've been really lucky.
You know, speaking of teams, we have a third co-host, or a 9-year-old that we bring on and ask a couple questions. So Sandy's going to go get him.
I will get him.
And our 2-year-old daughter, that when she gets older, she'll be plugged in the show too, because we are a family affair show.
That's so awesome.
And who knows, maybe we're setting them up and don't even know it.
Maybe.
Because we'll have the if they so like this, if they ever want in the entertainment industry, we'll have the connections. So
exactly. Hey, bud.
Hi, Liz. So, what's your favorite food?
Oh, my favorite food. Oh, well, I'm a Philly girl, so I probably should say Philly cheesesteaks, but I'm actually a huge fan of pizza from anywhere at any time, hot or cold, deep dish, thin crust, all the things. I'm a pizza fan.
Because what's yours?
Pizza.
Yours is pizza too?
Yep.
Yes.
Amazing. We'll have to get together and have pizza sometime.
Oh, yes. What's your favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show? Well, I mentioned before that I'm a reality TV fan. So my current favorite TV show is The Bachelor, or The Bachelorette, I should say. Yes.
And what's yours?
Mine is SpongeBob.
What is it?
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob! Oh my gosh, I love SpongeBob. I grew up watching SpongeBob. I love that it's still on.
Can you believe how long it's been on?
SpongeBob SquarePants. I can't believe it. It's so good.
And what's been great about this show is, you know, he watches a lot of the Disney and Nickelodeon shows now. So I reach out to the people on them shows, and we've been able to bring on quite a bit of people from Disney and Nickelodeon for him to talk to.
That is so cool.
Yes.
Wow.
In fact, recently we just had one of the girls who played Destiny on the show Bunked.
Oh, I don't know that show.
It's a Disney show. It's one of the hit shows right now.
Cool. Look at you getting all the TV connections. It's so cool.
Yes. What's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Oh, man. I think the movie that I've watched more than any other movie is Elf. I just love all the funny moments in that show, and I love Will Ferrell, and I love Christmas, so that's probably the one that I like the most.
All right. Mine is Minions.
Minions! Oh, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, he loves the Minions, Despicable Me, all the whole series. It's really good.
Nice.
Although Caitlin loves that too.
Bye, thanks.
Thanks. Nice to meet you.
His shirt blended in.
Nice shirt.
It's still blended in. That's funny. He had a green shirt on earlier, and I was like, you need to change the shirt because it'll be. And so he came to a light yellow, and it's still. It's a green screen.
That's great.
But he loves being on the show. He's been on 98% of the shows.
Wow, that's really cool.
The great thing is we homeschool him, so we can build around
that
that.
Anytime.
Yep.
There you go.
So if you could co-write with any artist, dead or alive, who would it be?
You know, I'm a huge Joni Mitchell fan, so I'd probably say Joni Mitchell. But I also think that I would love to learn from Dolly Parton and just how she writes. I would love to just be a fly on the wall. I would just love to see how she makes her magic. So one of those two.
Now, this probably has 1,000 answers, but think of the first one that pops in your head. What's a song you've heard you wish you wrote?
One of my favorite songs that I wish I wrote is by Alternate Roots. It's called We Are One. I just love the message. It's so positive. And one of the lines is, "We are how we treat each other when the day is done." I just think it's so powerful. And through 2020, it just was a song that just kept resonating more and more with me. So I've started to incorporate it into my shows. Even though it's not a song that a lot of people know, it's one they should know. And so I wish that I wrote it.
We definitely need more of that kind of songs.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Definitely not anything that divides. We need unity right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So back in 2015, we interviewed Kelsey Ballerini, kind of before she was Kelsey.
Yeah.
And one of the questions I asked her is where she want to be in 5 years. And I always like to tell this story before I ask the guest that same question, because the answer she gave us back then is to the T of what she's living now. I mean, she knew step by step where she was going. So knowing that, where do you want to be in 5 years?
Well, I think 2020 changed that for me. I think I started to realize that I was chasing after things that I thought would fulfill me, but I truly am fulfilled by the life that I have now. Like just getting to be back out on the road. As long as I'm playing for people, I don't care if there's 20 people in the room or 2,000.
Makes you not take it for granted.
Yeah, I really feel lucky to be doing what I'm doing now. So if I can be doing what I'm doing now, plus maybe have a few kids and expand our family, my heart is so full. So it's really just continue what I got now.
I love that. Now let's look further down the road, 15 years down the road. And let's say that you're a success on a grand scale. Whatever that looks like for you, you're there. If the person you are today could meet her, your future successful self, what would you want to remind her?
Remember who helped you get where you're going, and always celebrate the people that have been there for you every step of the way, through the hard times and the exciting times. Those are the people that matter, the people that are willing to stand by you when things are tough.
Yeah.
Great.
And how would you describe your music to someone who hasn't heard it yet?
I would say it's pretty eclectic singer-songwriter. I range everywhere from country to, a little bit of pop and soul, little jazz sometimes here and there. So it's pretty all over the board if you come see a show. But it's all based in true stories and heart-to-heart moments, hoping that it, makes people remember who they are and why they're alive.
Yes. And what would you like your legacy to be as an artist? What would you like to be known and remembered for?
An artist who put it all out there, told their story and was there for people when they needed to tell theirs. That's what I would like to be remembered as.
Yes, and if you could relay any message to your fans, what would you want to say to them?
I would say thank you for listening, first of all. And I don't know, as a kid and into my adult life, music has always been a place that made me reflect on my hardest moments and my best moments and made me feel more alive. And so that's really what I want my music to do for other people. Let it be a safe space, a place where you can reflect and learn and grow.
Now, let's say you had a friend of yours and you heard him or her singing. They have something special. As Simon Cowell would say, they have that it factor. But they've played maybe 30, 40 shows. So they're still getting their feet wet on the performance side. But they've gotten on stage and they got what every artist says, that stage bug. Look over the crowd's roaring for them, and they just know they're in the right place. And they come to you and they say, I know I'm supposed to do this with the rest of my life. What advice would you give that specific person to kind of help guide them the next couple of years?
I think the key is when you have that bug to not edit yourself. I think the thing that I see the most here in Nashville is that people are sometimes waiting for the right moment when they're going to be perfectly ready to release music or the right song or the right this, the right that. And I think the key is just start doing it, keep doing it, and you'll get better as you go. And you never have to be perfect. You never arrive. That was one thing that when I was in college, John Mayer came and worked with a dozen of us for a week. Oh, wow. And one thing that he said that really struck me was, you never arrive. Because in my mind, John Mayer had arrived. He was John Mayer. You know what I mean? Right. And he had literally arrived onto our campus, and it was like this moment. But he didn't know what he wanted to create next. He didn't know what his next album was going to sound like. And it was just proof that you just never get there. So just keep doing it and enjoy the now. Enjoy what you're creating now, and stop waiting to feel like, it's going to be amazing 5 years ahead, 15 years ahead. If it's not amazing right now, if you don't love it right now, then do something else, because it's not easy.
Because if you, because a lot of people don't realize, if you don't enjoy the journey, then when you do get to that destination, whatever it is, it'll cheapen the destination.
Absolutely. I know it's so overdone, enjoy the journey, but it's so true. Because if you don't, what if you never get there? That's why when it's where do you want to be in 5 years? It's I just want to be doing what I'm doing now. I love this. I'm happy with this,
Yeah, because there's so, I remember we interviewed Allison Steele years ago, and she talked about that, she told people in our interview that, if you are, that if you don't know if you for sure want to do this, then don't. Right. It's because it's one of them things that you can't be partly in. You're either all in or you're not in at all. And it's not going to, if you're partly in, it's not going to work anyway. So all you're doing is wasting your time. You're going to be away from your family. Everybody's going to sacrifice around you, and all for nothing.
It's true.
So what's next for you?
I hit the road for all of August. I'm going to be on tour. I'm going to get to go to some long-awaited family weddings. It's going to be a busy rest of the summer. And then through the fall, I plan to be touring for most of the fall. And I don't know. I think I need to start thinking about writing for the next record. My EP comes out later this year. It's the Funeral for My Past acoustic EP. So I'll be working on that as I'm in and out of shows. But just happy to be returning to the stage, really. And those long healing road trips where I get to think for hours and hours on end.
And 2020 probably did, some people might think this is a negative, but I think it's a positive. I think 2020 put things in perspective to where, is this really what you want to do? Because a lot of my Facebook friends, they left Nashville. Last year. I've seen quite a bit of people that was in Nashville 3, 4, 5 years, and they left. They're like,
were they in the music industry?
Yeah, they were in it, and they're now doing back to school and other stuff. But it showed them, okay, that's not what they really wanted. Because if you can make it through last year and still it's your top priority, then it's probably you were destined to do it.
Yeah, that's a good point. It really was a test. It really was. And I wouldn't say I was the most sane person through 2020. I just told you how I hoarded pounds of dry food. But music was always what made me feel better, no matter what. Even the online shows, I know people got annoyed with how many online shows were happening at some point. But for me, getting to feel connected to those people that I know and I miss from the road, that was the best part of it. So I think there are some good things to take from 2020.
And online shows, I think this is the future. Again, like you said, you've been doing online shows anyway.
Yeah.
But I kind of think the future is going to be, you're going to have your show, you're going to be live still with an audience, but you're going to still set up these online concerts as another revenue stream now. So, I mean, think about it. You make whatever you make at your tour, but now you can have people pay $5 to be a part of it from across the world. So I think that that's going to be the next phase for rising artists, is another revenue stream where, they can, because again, things like Spotify and all that's taken all the money pretty much from making music. Well, you have to find other ways. Well, this is one way I think that artists are going to be able to make up that is, what? We can now, since we've learned how to perfect this through 2020, we can now take that idea and still keep that idea and add it to our main source.
Yes. One of the things that I added to my main source in 2020 was Patreon, which was, I launched it almost exactly a year ago. Oh, wow. And it was like, it became a community for the people that loved my music and wanted to support me when I couldn't be on the road. And every month I shared an unreleased song. I leave people voicemails and do private concerts and personalized videos and cover videos. Anyway, it's now it's like become a bigger part of my life than I could have ever imagined. And now I absolutely love it. And it's a community that's growing, and I just feel so lucky to have that. And it encourages me to stay creative. When on the road, when life starts to pick up, you lose that time to be creative and write. And so this is a community that really encourages me to keep going and sharing all the behind the scenes stuff. So it's cool. That's like one of the best things that happened out of my 2020.
Because that probably became a little struggle. I mean, here it is. All your life you've been on the road. Then all of a sudden you have nothing. So then you did a lot of writing. So now all of a sudden you're going to go back, thrown right back in on the road. And now you got to figure out, okay, you love the writing. So now you got to figure out how to balance that.
Yes, exactly. Now it's kind of like piecing together, like, what do I like from my former life? From my new life, let's make a new blend and go forward. It really is a different time, but I'm loving it so far.
Love that. So any final parting words, and tell everybody how they can reach out to you.
Yeah, I would love for people to stay in touch. My name's Liz Longley. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, LizLongley.com for my upcoming shows. I'll be touring as much as humanly possible the rest of the year and would love to see you. And if you'd like that behind the scenes content, please do come over to patreon.com/Liz Longley. We'd love to have you there. We'd love another lizard in the bunch.
I love that. And we really enjoyed having you on the show today, and we look forward to having you back down the road for more updates.
Thanks for doing what you do, and wow, kudos to you for being so busy and staying so connected through a time that was really, really challenging to do so.
We appreciate that.
We appreciate it.
And
thanks so much for your time today.
It's been a job, but we're here. So
yeah, you got it.
You have a great day.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.